Stephanie. Kyle asked.
It is to the agenda, so I'll present it. please.
Right?
I'm good.
All right, thanks everybody for being here tonight. We'll go through the agenda and get all of our questions answered for next week's council meeting. First, we do have a member of the public here to speak, Mr. Daniel Frith, if you want to come address the council. We'll do 3 minutes, if you can just say your name and your address, please.
Daniel Frith. Thank you for letting me come up so early. I just wanted to get back awareness in front of the council about the state of our city ice rink. I sort of keep up with you guys through the paper and see that we have an opportunity for some bond issue money coming up for our city for miscellaneous projects. Just from what I've read, that's my first time to attend a meeting since pre-pandemic, with beautification to our city, possible new recreation centers, library, the farmer's market, miscellaneous things that I'm in support of. I think it's great that you guys are considering these things, but our most recent town hall meeting in our city was about our local ice rink, and that was in January of 2020. And at that time, I'd met with Jason Lake quite a bit and many others on our council about repairing that rink. And so the city council at the time had a town hall meeting. And we planned for about 100 chairs, and throughout that meeting, we doubled it. So we had great participation with it, and it was 100% in favor of keeping it an ice rink. We had no opposition in our city. So we've changed council. I appreciate you guys being a part of it, and I think you're doing a great job, but I don't hear anything about possibly allocating any money towards the repair of this rink. So I guess I just want to get it back in front of us. During that town hall meeting, I don't know if any of y'all were at the meeting. I know our mayor was, and Stephanie. I know Billy was there, Billy Jackson. Halfway through the meeting, our city council president at the time stopped the people from coming up and say, hey, we want to make sure everybody knows we're not closing it. We were just looking for suggestions. So we were led to believe that night that it was not going away. Now the pandemic has hit, and I know the world has changed, but as we move out of it and we have an opportunity to borrow money, what I understand is a very favorable rate for things in our city, I don't think that this council, from what I understand, necessarily inherits what the pre-council says they're going to do. And I think that makes sense. But what is a little different with this decision is our city came to support that. So the council said, we're not going to listen to Daniel and his group of enthusiasts about ice skating for our community. We're going to let a town hall meeting help decide what we should do. Well, it was January of 2020, it was pre-pandemic, and it was 100% in favor of keeping it an ice rink. Well, I just hadn't heard anything about it since that council has gone away. We have a new council. I think it's an opportunity, if we're borrowing money, that something should be put on the table with these other worthy projects. And if we're not going to consider it in this bond issue, I think we should be talking about it in the future bond issues. So, you know, I'm not going to drive it. I got to have it tomorrow. But we repaired, our city did, the Kerry Matthews. Okay.
You're good. No, 3 minutes. I don't want to go on and on, but I think we definitely have talked about the ice rink. There has been conversation with Jason and others, and it's definitely something. Personally, what I always say is I hate empty buildings, and there's an empty building basically sitting over there. So I do think it's something you'll see talked about. There's a lot of different opinions on, you know, what we need to do with that building, but it is being discussed, and it has been discussed in relation to a bond issue. But exactly what we need to do or don't need to do has not really been decided, obviously, because we hadn't talked about it in here.
I'd like to volunteer to be a part of that discussion and help our city find a ways of funding it and so forth.
I'm certainly open to you having any conversations with me directly, and I'm sure the other guys are as well. So if you want to shoot me an email or give me a call, I'm happy to go to lunch and talk about it one day.
That'd be great. Thank you for that opportunity.
You know, we've talked. I'm torn on it. I mean, cause if you look at it from a dollars and cents standpoint, it's a loser, it loses money. But, you know, it's a great asset we have that other communities don't. So it's, you know, what do? Do you continue losing money year after year, or do you fix it for everybody? And that's where I'm torn on it, cause I know how passionate you are about it. I mean, it's right there in our backyard. I grew up going out there.
Well, I think it's not as a big a money loser if we do it seasonally, 5.5 months out of the season in the winter months, and close it 6.5 to 7 months, and just like we did to Kerry Matthews Pool. I just say, let's repair it. We have an ice rink. We've had it almost 50 years, and it is purposed there as an ice rink, and we need to repair it, and we need to use it in the winter months, is what I think, and I want to help us try to get to that.
Well, I mean, like I said, I would love to have, I mean, I'm sure you know way more about ice rinks than I do personally, so I'd love to sit down and hear your ideas and talk about that and pass it along and see what Jason and his team and others think and see if it makes sense for us to do it.
I'll
But
take you up
we
on
don't want it to sit there empty. We need to find something to do with it. So,
Thank you very much.
anybody have any other questions for Mr. Frith? Thank you.
I'll
Appreciate
shoot you an email.
Yeah,
Thank you so
absolutely.
much.
I'd be glad to.
I appreciate all y'all do. Thank you.
All right, we'll start moving through the agenda. All right, first we have approval of minutes, August 2nd, 2021, 5:30 PM work session, and city council regular meeting, August 2nd, 2021, 6 PM. Any questions on those? All right, next approval of monthly bills, approved July 2021 monthly bills. Any questions? All right, next, public hearings, resolution number 21-215, approved transfer request for restaurant retail liquor license for Casa de Santiago, doing business as Casa Santiago, 2401 6th Avenue Southeast, Suite B, Decatur, Alabama, 35601. Kyle.
Good evening, council. This is a transfer request for Casa de Santiago. I believe Stephanie and Lori were in the works today with confirming that it is in the published stage and everything is checked out. Good on it.
Okay, any questions? All right.
I have one because of what you just said. You said it's in the transfer state, so they're currently located next to Walmart, and now they're moving over to 6th Avenue. Is the process, to your knowledge, the same as like being brand new?
To my knowledge, yes.
Okay.
I think they go through the similar process. Now, technically, I'm not 100% sure. You'd have to ask her, but I think the process is along the same lines of background checks, paperwork, application fees, and whatnot.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, any other questions? All right, next is resolution number 21-216, approved request for a special event retail liquor license for JW Steakhouse on September 11th, 2021, at 2901 D Point Mallard Circle, Southeast. Dragon Boat Races, Decatur Morgan Hospital Foundation.
Same situation, same status, and it's recommended.
Okay, any questions? All right, thanks, Kyle. Resolutions, resolution number 21-217, adopt new job classification for police department mental health liaison.
Chief Allen is going to help explain the vision, but this is a proposal to add a position to our job classification and pay structure. It would be exempt from classified service. It would be in the pay grade 20. The article in the paper was incorrect. That pay range would be 47,000 to 72,000, which we believe we can recruit a licensed professional in that category. We worked, Chief Allen's department helped with the job description. We finessed it, did the market study, and that's what you have in front of you. And I'll turn it over to Chief.
Thank you. This position is going to be created, it's kind of creative. They're going to serve as a trainer for the police department officers and how to respond to mental health calls. They're going to partner with our mental health services throughout Decatur. And they're going to actually, once they get the partnership and the training up developed, we want them to respond to non-emergency mental health calls. Oftentimes, as you all may know, as you all do know, if a mental health person see a uniform like this, the tension raises up on them. So they want to see somebody who can provide them services without us. When we're there, the first thing they think of, we're going to either kill them or put them in jail. If they see the gun, oh God, there's police here. So we want someone that's non-threatening. Also, when they get the call for a non-emergency type call, police will respond with them and stay in the shadows. In case something go awry, then the police officer can come in there and take some enforcement actions. But right now, throughout the nation, we're having a lot of problems with the mental crisis situation that we have with our mental. So we want to be able to have them a service that we can provide them to get them help and not put them in jail and not cause them any more trauma to their lives. So that's what this position would be.
Chief, I have a question for you. So you say a non-emergency mental health call. Can you define non-emergency mental health call?
Sure. We get a call. I use this analogy all the time. You get a call of a person sitting at a McDonald's staring out a window. McDonald's says 11 o'clock, we want to close. What do we do with this person? We know this person having some type of mental issue there. So first thing happened, now the police respond, lay hands on the person, try to drag them out of the McDonald's at 11 o'clock. We don't want that. We want the police to respond, sit in the shadows, let the mental health providers go there and sit down and talk with that person and find out what kind of issues that they may be having. They could be off the medication. They could be don't have any more medication. They could have lost a loved one. They could have had anything other than having a police come in there with a uniform on, with a taser and a gun and handcuffs, and it just goes downhill from there. So that type of call there. We've also had situations where we've had a female walking down the street taking her clothes off. Right there, we know that's a mental health call. We need to have somebody come out here and try to talk to that person, get her back on her medication, get her to a secure area, and provide her some help and service and not being a policeman in uniform.
So that was my next question: is what's going to be the what? So when I say this, because if it's the pay range here, that's a significant amount of money to pay an individual every year. Which, if it's a licensed professional and they have degrees, I would expect a pay range that high. But so the end goal is going to be to get them, I guess you said, transported to somewhere where they can get
a mental health facility. That's correct.
Definitive care.
And this person would also do follow-up with some of our mental people to ensure that they are staying on their medication and things. And it is a degree position. And it's a degree and a licensed position. We talked to Eagle Consultant, which helped us with some of the terminology because we're police officers. We don't know what a LPC and all these other letters and things are behind names. And they gave us the certifications and the qualifications that was needed for the position.
Thank you, Chief.
And what Chief Health, the Personnel Board understand, this is an emerging specialty in police departments because it is such a, they're mentally ill, they need help, they don't need to be manhandled and put in prison. So Hoover just created the position, and for them it's so new they don't even have a salary range yet. Some other cities that we looked at, so it's an emerging practice that's coming across the country.
That was going to be my question. I think this is great that we're showing some initiative here and being proactive in it. Mental health is something that so many struggle with, so I'm glad to see that we're making that a concern of ours in the police department. I was going to ask, do any other agencies locally do this, or will we be the first, or what?
There are other places. I believe Coleman City has a liaison now. The Huntsville Police Department, they have liaisons working with sworn officers. And what I'm got a little bit of a twist on it. I want them to kind of work with the liaison and a professional from the mental health services to come together and go out with the police in the shadows, not the police up front. Even when you have a police officer who's not in a full uniform like this, he or she still will have a weapon on their side. And that can create tension when you go into a situation like that too. So we're trying to get away from the uniform, the gun, and things like that when we go into a mental health situation. You may go into a person's home where they're having a mental breakdown, and they have to sit down and have a cup of coffee with somebody. And so you need somebody who can actually sit down and relate to them, who understand the situation they're going through.
Will this individual be open to officers as well, or is this strictly for like a public use? Or when I say that, like, so an officer has a stressful situation, would they be able to come in and speak to this?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, that's most definitely. See, it's kind of a trifold type of thing. It's going to first develop partnerships, develop training, provide training to the police officer, and be able there to help officers in a crisis situation, be able to follow up with the citizens and respond to calls of service. And this may take 8 months to a year to actually get off the ground. This person won't come in running. We're doing all those things. Building partnerships, building training programs, all that's going to take time to build.
Chief, we know mental health it's it's tough locally and statewide on the prisons and everything. Just, you probably don't have an exact number. What percentage of calls do you think are related to mental health?
I have no idea.
Too hard. Too hard to
No.
put. I'm just curious.
I have no idea, and it fluctuates 1 or 2 or 3 a week right now that we're doing. But you know that everything's going up, especially since COVID has hit. A lot of people are staying indoors. A lot of people are not socializing like they would once do with friends and family. That creates a mental health stress. So, I mean, the calls are continuing to go up. The officers now are very concerned when they respond to mental health calls because they know they don't have enough tools on their tool belt to really handle it. So they kind of nervous. What do we do? How do we handle these type of things? Knowing now that they can be trained in it, knowing they have someone to actually respond with them with some type of training is just a benefit on all fronts.
Absolutely. Thank you for doing this and the leadership, Michelle, you as well.
Yeah, this is going to be an exciting position. I'm excited to see this unfold. This is going to be it's going to be very interesting and very beneficial to the public, and especially since it's going to be available, this person is going to be available to the officers. I feel that it's going to be very beneficial to the officers as well that need somebody to talk to whenever times are tough.
I'm so glad you said it, and I thank you for saying that because people oftentimes don't realize the stress that officers go through. We could have an officer to go from a critical situation where they just witnessed a person die in a car they couldn't actually rescue to go into a barking dog call. And those type of transitions brings a lot of stress on the officers. So I really appreciate you looking out for the officers and saying that because it is a very stressful job, especially today, in today's time. It's very stressful.
Well, thank you for your work and working to create this position.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. All right, resolution number 21-218, authorize the mayor to execute an agreement with TTL for air compliance assistance. Wanda.
Hi, good evening, Wanda Tyler, Landfill and Recycling. In order to stay in compliance with Title V, the Clean Air Act, we have to make sure that we are submitting our renewal application, also conducting a Tier 2 testing of our landfill gases, and also stay in compliance. And TTL will assist us providing us those engineering services for our certification. And we're asking you to approve this agreement. It's $17,600 for these services.
Okay. Any questions for Wanda?
Now, so how often do we have to submit this stuff?
This is 5 years, every
5 years.
5 years for this permit.
Okay, any other questions?
Thank you.
All right, next is resolution number 21-219, approved budget amendment for Pew Wright, proposed floodway Brush Creek. Carl.
Yes, Mayor, Council, this was a project that came up, I guess, with the previous council. Sort of went away, but we still owe Pew Wright McAnally this amount of money for their contract, and I failed to roll it forward from the previous year, so they have billed us for their final bill for this project, and that's what this will do, help us pay them.
Okay. Any questions? All right, resolution number 21-220, approve engineering budget amendment for Garver Engineering Highway 20.
Yeah, this is out on our Big Garrett Bridge project with utility relocation. Garver's the engineer with that. As things progress and change and we find new things, they've changed the plan some, and they're on site making sure some things have done right. So the original contract was to do just the engineering. We've paid them for that. These are for services that kind of come up as things come up. And we put some money out there, and they've reached that. So we're asking, this should get us to hopefully to the end of the project with what they're doing.
Okay. Any questions?
This is the what, second or third?
Second for Garver, I think.
Any other questions? All right, resolution number 21-221, approved budget amendment for signal detection issues, estimate from Temple.
Yeah, received a list of various signals throughout the city that detection loops in the ground that help recognize cars when they come up to signals have gone bad or not working right or whatever. And Temple does a great job of working with the city to help maintain these things. And they provided a list of those detections weren't working and a proposal to put up cameras, which I think is a good alternative to loops in the road. They don't go as bad as often. They function real well. Even when you pave streets, the lights will still work well. And they provided a cost to repair those that they gave us, and that's what this money would do.
Okay, any questions? All right, resolution number 21-222, approve DUA to construction for Shady Grove Lane utilities modifications.
This is a part of our Shady Grove Lane improvement. We'll have to move some water services, some gas services, power pole or two, and this is the DUA to construction for that project.
I'm glad to see that, those 3 words on here, Shady Grove Lane.
Hopefully we'll get it together and out to bid very shortly.
All right, any questions on that one? All right, resolution number 21-223, approve budget amendment for building construction associates proposal for work at Carrie Matthews Center.
Yeah, this dealing with our Carrie Matthews Center, with the soils that are under that building, under the gym especially, because it's showing the most deformation in there. Reached out to some engineers, one engineer in specific, about trying to get a geotextile fabric to help stabilize what's underneath there. And given the information we currently have, nobody's really willing to give that recommendation, which makes me a little bit nervous, but you know, we think that, you know, uncovering the whole gym floor, seeing what's really there versus in 2 spots can help educate us on what we're dealing with. And I guess either get a recommendation, or I'll be in front of the council saying, do we continue to spend money here, or do we go a different route? And so this today is for building to construction to go in. They'll put a hole in the gym wall. They'll tear out the gym floor to where we can see what we're dealing with, and hopefully give a better recommendation, or at least get a recommendation of what to do with those soils under the floor.
And you think it's gonna take this to get that final recommendation? Is this or is this not gonna fix the floor?
If this doesn't, then my recommendation would be to do something different.
Okay, any other questions?
But they have to move the whole floor.
At least half of it, I would say. At least get to where the part that's the most sunk in what's that, the northeastern part of the gym floor where it's really sunk down.
Right.
I guess based on what I got from Mid-South testing, is water's been going under the building. What they describe or define as a preferred pathway of the water, it's going under the building and going somewhere. We don't know what that is, but it is going in the ground, and my guess is it's taking some soils with it, which has caused the settling, caused some of the deformation. And in order to stabilize that, we need to see more of what we're dealing with other than just getting some bearing capacities. And that's another thing. The bearing capacities we got, which is the weight of the building pushing down on the soil, varied so greatly. That was another reason you can have differential settling, one part of the building settling different than the other, which causes the issues with the correct stabilization method to use. So if it was equally weak, we can do something about it, but since you have one that's significantly stronger than the other, you're still gonna have some differential in there, which is difficult to deal with.
Thank you.
How much is it gonna cost?
This is $27,000.
All right, any other questions, Carl? All right, next, resolution number 21-224, approve equipment purchase for the engineering street department. That's still you.
Oh.
One more.
Don't get too comfortable.
After budget meeting today, I'd like to request to remove this from the agenda.
Okay.
That was an easy.
I won't comment any further on that. Resolution number 21-225, authorize an agreement for use of city property for River Clay Fine Arts Festival.
This is the annual River Clay Fine Arts Festival, and this is their application to use the grounds surrounding City Hall for that festival.
Okay, any questions? Thanks. obviously. Resolution number 21-226, declare Crash Data Group a sole source vendor for purchase of a crash data retrieval unit for the police department.
Yes, sir, this is a request to declare the Crash Data Group a sole source vendor for this unit for the police department. You've got in your packet a letter from Bosch, the manufacturer, that states that Crash Data Group is the only available retail purchase in the United States, Jamaica, Canada. So, pretty much makes them sole source. And Captain Moore can answer any technical questions you might have about it.
Okay, y'all have any technical questions?
No.
No. Just that you need it?
I'm good with that.
I don't have any. No. Thanks, guys. All right, resolution number 21-227, award bid number 21022R for dumpster service to Waste Away Dumpster Service LLC.
Yes, sir, this is one of our standing bids. It's approaching expiration and we had to rebid it. We put it out once and one of the vendors basically submitted an altered bid, and it was probably due to lack of clarification in how I was asking for pricing, so I rebid it, and Waste Away Dumpster Service comes in at the lowest bidder.
Okay, any questions? Thanks, Charles. Next is resolution number 21-228, approve legal department contract services budget increase to cover cost of appraisals.
Yes, we have good fortune of having some people interested in buying some city property. It's not something that we had budgeted in the legal budget. When the first one, a few months ago came up, Kyle was able to dig around and find us a line we could pull it from, but we don't have enough in our budget to do that. And since we're trying to do some others, we wanted to just get a line set up. The money's available, it just needs to be moved from the general fund into that fund so that we can pay for appraisal. And the reason for the appraisal obviously is that when we're selling city property, we gotta make sure it's fair market value and we gotta have some baseline for that.
Okay. All right, any questions? Next, resolution number 21-229, approval of MOU agreement between Decatur City Schools and Police Department for the SRO program.
I'll put it on the agenda, but basically it's the same.
Just renewing. It's renewing the same agreement.
It's the same thing over and over.
Yeah.
So,
Perfect. That was easy.
Do y'all have any questions?
Good job.
No.
All right, resolution number 21-230, approve architecture work for a new maintenance building at the cemetery. Mr. Lake?
Thank you. As y'all know, there's been a good bit of work done at the Decatur Cemetery over the last several years, mostly based on the Baker Foundation, who has been very kind to fix the entrances on both sides, and also with plantings and other things that's made the cemetery look a lot better. One of their next phases of what they're going to go into is the chapel, the old chapel that's in the middle of the cemetery that we're currently using as a makeshift maintenance building, and has been for a long time. But that has a historical significance to it. So they would like to redo that building and bring it up, make it look like it used to, make it look really good. To do that, we would need to replace a maintenance area. One of the things that's been asked is, especially during burials, is if we have equipment out. In other words, because we have vendors that do most of the work there. They dig the graves, they cut the grass, most of it. We keep one person out there that tries to keep things cleaned up and all that, but most of the other work is done by contractors. When they come in, there's nowhere to park. They don't really have a lot of areas where they can come in, and not to mention stay out of the way, but there's just nowhere besides the roads around the cemetery right now to park. So what this would do is it would help alleviate that issue, along with being able to give the Baker Foundation back that building to be able, because the cost for that, it will all be them. we would just, work on what a maintenance building would look like. I think we did 15.
You got that in writing, Jason?
No, I don't. No, I have faith. If we can work on a maintenance building and something we can all agree on, looks good, serves purpose, I think that's where we'll go. We put $15,000 in this resolution just as a placeholder. So.
Okay. Any questions?
She's hard to say no to,
It is, yeah, she is, yeah. There's a bunch of she's is in that group that's hard to say no to.
All right, any other questions? Thanks, Jason. Resolution number 21-231, approved budget amendment for sanitary landfill. Wanda.
I know you all have been hearing me talk about rain and the things we need, and I am coming before you very soon. Unfortunately, the grinder that I thought we were getting was sold, so I should have more information tomorrow about another one that they're planning to send us. But this is a budget. These are budget amendments for rock, the rental when it does when we do get to that point, and also sublet repair for the dozer. I mean for the dozer, for the grinder that we have now, the Peterson 6710. So and right now that estimate is at $20,000 just for the tank, and so we got to pay labor costs, and then I got a rotor and hammers and teeth and a conveyor. But anyway, that's going to be part of the rebuild that Kyle and I discussed today, that we'll discuss with you all later for next year.
Okay. Any questions for Wanda? Thank you, ma'am. Next I have board appointment, Industrial Development Board, Terrence Welch.
Ordinance.
Oh, did I miss that?
Yep.
Ordinance.
Hang on.
Just kidding. Wanda, we have you again.
Yeah.
Ordinances, ordinance number 21-4471, establishing recycling processing fees at the landfill recycling facility.
Yeah, we're hoping to establish the $26 per ton processing fee. Any recycler that wants to recycle with us that brings in a load of 500 pounds or more will be charged $26 a ton. This will go into effect October 1.
Okay, any questions on that one? I know Mr. Garrison will be happy about that.
Very.
All right, sorry for skipping the last one. Next is board appointments. The first one is board appointment, Industrial Development Board, Terrence Welch. Anybody have any questions on that one? All right, there's another one we're adding, Mr. Pike with the late addition, Sheila Davis for the Port Authority Board. Anything you want to say there?
No, there's just a vacant seat, needing to get filled.
Okay, any questions? All right, our council meeting next week will be at 10 a.m. Anything else from directors? Why don't you? Yeah, let's Jason say something. Oh, I had my
Yeah, Jason, you might want to go first.
You'll be a lot more covered. Well, if he's gonna be that long, I can leave after this. Carlton had asked about the Princess Roof, and just as a heads up, we have a company that has given us specifications on what we need to do to fix that roof. What we're doing right now is working with Charles, and we're going to go out and see what the cost for that's going to be, and then once we have all the information you can make a decision with, we'll bring that back.
Okay. And the mayor has an addition as well.
What's the other directors? Was there any other directors?
Just anything else from directors? All right.
Council, this is something that I shared with you last week regarding our efforts to get the city looking cleaner. This is the Last week, y'all were kind enough to approve the litter collection, and now this is the mowing, taking mowing from 2 times a month to 4 times a month. You can see the weekly rate would be $6,400, and then the monthly total $25,600.
Okay, any questions on that?
Okay, is Jason still here? No?
He just stepped
Just
out.
left, okay.
He wasn't lying
Okay.
when he said he was leaving after this.
Yeah, okay, very good. We'll get this on the agenda.
Yeah, if we can get it on the
Okay.
agenda for next week.
Thanks.
All right, Mr. Demeester?
You have as much time as Jason and the mayor.
It's gonna be up to y'all. So I'm back with some discussion for the appropriations. I know we wanted to give you guys a little more time to look over the information, so I'm here to follow up. I don't think we need to go through line by line unless you want to. If you want, I'm open for discussion or changes that you see or want to request for us, just to give me some indication on kind of where we're at with this.
The only thing I had was on the senior center. I know we talked about, well, I think we should consider, and if you can plug in the number they requested.
Okay.
I know last year they were closed because of COVID, and of course, we don't know what could happen next year between now and then, but if that does happen, I think we can adjust that in the following budget, because we don't know if they would close, but that was my only recommendation.
Okay.
What was I say? There's a lot on this list. Oh,
Go ahead.
no, you go ahead. You're good.
No, I was gonna bring up, just 2 of them. The first was, I'd like to look at DDRA, the potential maybe to increase, 10,000 to 84,100. Just with some of the stuff they do, the return on investment that they have, a lot of the work that they do, we've seen year over year the impact that they've had downtown, and we're seeing more and more growth and development happening there, which they'll have a hand in that. They'll be more busy. So I'd like to look at that. That's obviously up, not just to me, but also one that I'd really like to look at would be the Princess Theater. I'd like to increase that to 80,000 if possible. If you can put that in and let us look at it. You know, the Princess is a staple to the community. It takes a lot for them to operate on top of the program that they do, the acts that they're trying to get in. Mary does a wonderful job. The board does a lot of work. So I think anything we can do to support the Princess, outside of obviously building maintenance and some stuff that we're gonna have to do there, I think we should consider that. And I believe that's all I got.
I've got a couple on the list, but I'm gonna tell you. So I agree with what Mr. Pike said about the Princess. The Princess is iconic, and it's known all across the state and many states across the country. I think it'd be great to increase that. But one thing that I see that we give a lot of money to, and I'm not saying that this is a bad thing nor a good thing, is CVB Tourism. So CVB Tourism has received $643,000 from this past fiscal budget and is now requesting $900,000. Well, I know that we give them it's a tax percentage?
It's 64.3% of the 7% lodging tax.
Okay, so is there a way that we could, how do I put this? Is there a way that we could cap them at a certain amount? And I don't know how we would need to word that or how we would need to break that down in an ordinance if I got support in it, but I feel like there's a need for a cap there. There needs to be something along the lines of where we stop them at getting so much until that. I'm not saying that there needs to be a major proof in return on investments, because I'm not saying that they don't do a good job. CVB does do an outstanding job, but I feel like there does need to be some sort of, so many words out there, I'm trying to figure out a great way to put it. There needs to be some sort of good proof or some sort of outlining and showing our return on investment. I feel like $900,000 is a lot of money to go into one thing, and I know that we are also a large part of their budget. So I don't know how much every other community throws in the pot, but to my understanding, we're 93% of their budget. So I'm not saying that we should go to each and every other community and ask them for, money to throw into the pot as well. But I feel like there should be some extra help in there from everybody else, especially if they're utilized by everybody else. And I just feel like there's a cap needed somewhere in there.
Can you plug some of those and just, at the end, you're gonna have what falls out and we'll have to balance the budget, so.
Yeah, I mean, the ones y'all mentioned are a little bit easier when you're talking about almost $1 million given to somebody and then capping. I mean, that's kind of hard.
Yeah, I think
that's gonna be a conversation.
Okay.
That's a separate conversation in itself.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I think
Okay.
we kind of are down
Circle
that
back
road
on
for
that
this year, but if Mr. Pepper wants to have those conversations with CVB and others, that's fine, but I think we're a little too far down the budget, process.
I respectfully, I strongly disagree. And the reason why I say that is because if we're too far along the line of the budget, this year we're projected to get $900,000. Last year they got $643,000. That's almost a $300,000 increase.
Yeah, it's based on hotel occupancy.
It's based on hotel room.
And I know that, but
traveling.
I feel like it's not gonna kill us to put a cap on them. It's not gonna kill us to put a cap on them this late in the game. It's not.
I just think it's a conversation that needs to be had. I don't think in the budget process where we're at, that we may have the time to come up with what that looks like.
But for you to begin having conversations with them about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
To prepare for next year, yeah, I mean, I can see both sides of it, but I'd hate to cut their legs out from under them right now.
Okay.
So you good with that? I mean, the changes requested, I think.
Yeah, so I think next step here is we're in the process right now of meeting with all the department heads to kind of finalize where we're at from an operating and capital and personnel budget. And from there, we'll see where the gap is, and if any of these additions may compete with some other things for you to decide, I'll kind of bring it all on the table for you all to decide so you can see everything instead of just committing. You're not committing tonight, but hypothetically committing tonight.
Appropriations typically are a way to close that gap. We've seen that most years with the budget, so.
Yep.
And have we talked with schools? I mean, are they on board with what they historically?
I've spoken with Mandy, the CFO, and we kind of were in a position where it's not really our decision. Financially, we both kind of said yes, but I think we would encourage someone from council to reach out to someone on the board to make sure that both parties are in agreement with the same agreement we had from last year.
I'll touch base with Doug.
What's the, are you good on that?
With the schools?
Yeah, with the appropriations?
Yeah.
You have something else?
Yeah, out of curiosity, this might be a vague question, but how much are we over budget?
Right now?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
We are completely on schedule with what the mayor and I are working towards. Now, we've had one day, so.
It was a long day.
It was a long day. But we really haven't had we haven't had a lot of conversation yet with one of our bigger departments, which can swing things. So I don't want to say 100% yes throughout the process because we're still at the preliminary stages.
Yeah, I think this is just in conversation with you, kind of where we would go from here is you guys continue to work through those requests, and then at some point we're going to have a special meeting to go through the budget and work through it.
Yeah, I would recommend that just to not, I mean, everyone's welcome to come, but it can be a pretty lengthy conversation depending on how detailed you guys want to get, and I'm fully prepared to talk about anything in that budget. So I would recommend a special work session just to kind of keep it on its own, and that way other department heads don't have to wait 2 hours after a council meeting or whatnot, so.
Okay. Anything else for Kyle?
Thank you for this insight, appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks. Mayor, anything else from you? Anything else from council? Did you pass your test?
I think so.
I don't know yet.
All right, we're finished. Thank y'all.
Thank you.